What's up, everybody, and thank you for listening to Mastering the Mindset. My name is Dariusdotch, and I'm an actor, hip-hop artist, and fitness and life coach. And I'm here to personally help you train and improve your mindset so that you can, 1, become the best version of yourself mentally, and 2, gain focus and motivation to be able to take action and achieve the success in life that you want and deserve. Before we get started, please like and subscribe to my channel, and at the end of this episode, if you liked it, please share it with a friend or a loved one or someone who would benefit from hearing this message. I'm so glad you're here, and I'm ready to go on this journey with you, and that journey begins now. All right, y'all, welcome back to another episode. Now, this is a really important episode. I'm glad you tuned into this one. I think a lot of folks need to hear this one. So today we're going to talk about how you might be unintentionally choosing to suffer. And most of the time, it's not a conscious thing. But even so, we still make the choice to suffer because let's just be real. We can't avoid pain. Pain is 100% unavoidable. Impossible to avoid pain. That's part of being human, right? Things in life happen, devastating things, curveballs, regret, heartache, disappointment, you name it. But we don't have to choose to stay in the suffering. And right now, you may be choosing to suffer and not even realize it, not even be realizing it. So I want to help you to either get out of it, recognize when you're in it, and help you prevent it from happening in the future. And this concept I'm going to talk about comes from a podcast I was listening to the other day. And they were interviewing a woman by the name of Lori Gottlieb. I'm butchering her name. But she was talking about her book, and she broke down her interactions with 3 different patients she had as a therapist. And she breaks down a 4th patient, which is herself talking to her own therapist. And she was talking to her therapist about a breakup she was going through. And it was a bad one, a hard one. She was in love with this man, and she thought she was going to marry him. They were together for a long time, and then he broke it off with her. And she was handling it really, really bad. And she was telling her therapist how she would always look at him on social media and tell herself that he has this great life without her, how he's doing so good, how he's happy without her. And she tells her therapist that she does this all the time. She looks at his social media a whole lot. And the question her therapist asks her is a question I think we all need to ask ourselves. And it's a simple question, but what he said is so profound. He asks her, he says, if you're choosing suffering, you must be getting something out of this. So what are you getting out of this suffering? Let me say that again. If you're choosing suffering, you must be getting something out of this. So what are you getting out of this suffering? And for real, that's for real a powerful question. If you're choosing to make yourself suffer, you clearly have convinced yourself that you're getting something out of this choice. Otherwise, you wouldn't choose it. And maybe you haven't thought about whatever it is you perceive you're gaining from this, or you haven't asked yourself what it is you think you're gaining from it. And the beauty of this question is we can ask ourselves this question in damn near any situation, any emotion we may be experiencing. Like, what am I getting out of this emotion, and is it worth it? What am I getting out of this suffering, and is it worth it? Pain is unavoidable in life. That's just facts. The human experience. We all go through it, but choosing to stay in the suffering, that's something that we can control. That's optional. And if we're being honest, a big reason why we may be choosing to stay in that suffering is because it can be easier. It can be easier to stay in that suffering. And this can be for 2 reasons. The first reason might not be what you want to hear, but the first reason is we get to play the victim. We get to play the victim. And that can be something we might not like to admit out loud. But if you're being honest, playing the victim, sometimes it just feels right. It can feel validating. That this pain we're experiencing, it is a big pain and it hurts. And especially if other people recognize that your pain is valid and it's a big hurt. Being the victim can feel like it's the proper thing to do, to have other people feel empathy for us. And sometimes to truly just have a pity party. And look, I know we're all guilty of this. Some maybe more than others, but the thing is, it's okay to have our own pity party. But what's not okay is to, one, stay there, and two, unpack there. It's not helpful to be unpacking there because playing victim means we get to pretend that we can't do anything about our problems. And the reality is we can. We absolutely can. And we stay in this state of blame and pointing the finger at something as a way to avoid taking responsibility. Responsibility of taking action and changing this circumstance. And sometimes the responsibility of us being in this pain in the first place. Because we've all been there, done that when we're in a situation we know we shouldn't be in and we end up feeling pain from it and we don't got nobody to blame but the person in the mirror. Yes, he cheated on you, but you know what your red flags are. You know your friend told you about him. You saw the signs. Yeah, you lost all your money on that investment, but you know you should have taken more time on making that decision. You know you should have asked more people about it first. And the list goes on and on and on and on with that one. And again, we've all been there, myself included. What's up, what's up, what's up? I want to take a quick moment to say thank you so much for listening to this episode and to also let you know that this podcast is 100% donation driven, which means it's completely funded by you, the listener. So if you like the content I have to offer, I would love it if you can make a donation and you get to pick the amount. I left links in the description of the video as well as my homepage. You can choose which way benefits you the best to donate. And if you need more options, please feel free to email me at dariusdotch@gmail.com. That's dariusdotch@gmail.com. Again, thank you so much for being here and let's get back to it. I was having a little pity party my damn self yesterday. I just released a new song and I'm looking at my numbers and my streams are lower than I want them to be. And I was down because I'm feeling the disappointment of knowing that I'm putting out good music, but I'm not getting the results I feel like I deserve. And the reality of it, the responsibility I needed to take is I honestly didn't do as much of the work as I needed to get the engagement I wanted. I'm still working on truly putting myself out there and being in front of the camera. As crazy as that may sound, I struggle with getting in front of the camera, in front of a camera phone, and just fucking talking. And I know somebody on here can feel me on that one, right? Getting in front of a camera, it's uncomfortable. But on social media, videos, especially live videos, will help drive engagement. I know that. Visibility. And I basically didn't do any of that. I made the posts, I made the visuals, I edited the pictures and the videos, but I didn't get in front of the camera and other things I didn't do either. But my point is, I had to take that responsibility. We have to recognize that if we avoid our problems, we can't solve our problems. It's not beneficial, but it's easy. It can be easy and feel right to do. And we know that solving a problem is going to get us to where we need to go faster, but we also know that solving a problem is going to require more effort. And that can feel more difficult. But we have to remind ourselves that it's going to feel better later once we get out of this victim mode. That the more we face the problem, the better off we'll be in the long run. So that's the first reason why we choose to suffer. The second reason why we choose to be in this mode of suffering is because to get out of it, it requires change. Change. Change means loss of the familiar, of what we know. Even if it ain't what we want, our brains are wired to keep us in familiar thought patterns. Change means loss of comfort, change of certainty, perceived certainty, really, right? If we're being real about it, life is going to keep throwing curveballs. Shit happens, but we perceive certainty when we stay in this familiar thought pattern. But we don't have to choose this, the path of suffering. We don't have to. So back to what I was listening to. So what was Lori gaining by staying in this suffering around her breakup? So she was looking at his social media every day. So maybe she was gaining was the feeling of being connected, to him. Subconsciously, maybe she felt like this connection she was getting was worth it. But was it really? Of course not. Hell no. They were not together no more, so there was no connection, right? But in her grief of that relationship, she wanted some kind of connection. And this is a completely normal human nature to have. Now, I'm not trying to say that she's a bad person for doing this. How could she ever do that? That's not what I'm saying. This happens all the time. Hell, if we being honest, we do this on social media when it comes to a crush, knowing damn well ain't no connection there, right? But maybe somebody does this when it comes to an ex to use it as an excuse. Maybe they have work they know they should be doing, but they use this as an excuse to not do it and instead go down the spiral of making themselves suffer all day, right? And not just work, any area of life. In this way, that person can have an excuse for their lack of progress in something and blame this suffering they're in. Again, not saying this is wrong. We're human. A lot of us do this kind of thing in the moment. In the moment, we can choose suffering of whatever kind and use it as a way of getting connection as well. Because again, we're human and it's a human nature to want connection. So deep down, whatever that suffering we might be putting ourselves through, it could be because we can show how hard it is and people will want to come to the rescue and connect with us. And that's actually more of reason number one, the pity. But these things are important to think about. Why are we choosing suffering? What do we perceive we're gaining by just sitting in this damn black hole? Are you doing something to keep yourself where you're at on purpose, to keep yourself connected to a past version of yourself, even though you know it's time to level up? That's another good question. Let me say it again. Are you doing something to keep you where you're at on purpose, to keep yourself connected to a past version of yourself, even though you know it's time to level up? So again, why are we choosing to suffer? Number one, are you playing victim? Or number two, are you avoiding change? It's time to really look in the mirror. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is a choice. What you should be choosing is your happiness, your freedom, your mental freedom from this suffering. Again, we're human. We're going to do this. We're going to choose suffering, but don't stay there and don't unpack there. You got this. So that's what I got for you today. If you like this episode, please share it with somebody that can benefit from this, somebody who is a friend or a family member, somebody who has goals and is trying to improve their lives. So thank you again, and let's get it in.